Dear students, welcome back to another session of chapter nuclei. So we will see some of the important definitions and maybe 1 or 2 more questions in this session. We will start with the mass energy relation. Okay. So here the mass energy relation actually says that it is related to the Einstein's famous equation E is equal to mc square. With respect to that, we can say that mass can be converted into energy as well as energy can be converted into mass. So I'll give you an example how mass can be converted into energy. It's a simple thing what we can do by burning a paper. So by burning a paper, we can see that the mass will be converted into heat energy or light energy. Okay. Then when is a possibility of converting energy into mass? So that doesn't happen usual in a normal life. It happens only in some kind of nuclear reactions. Okay. So we will see in detail of that. According to Einstein's theory of relativity, okay, it says mass and energy are interconvertible. So you can convert mass into energy, energy into mass. And he gave a famous equation, that is E is equal to mc square, to tell you about how it can be converted from one form to the other form. Now, the possible conversion of energy into mass, it will happen in the kind of process called pair production. So it is actually the higher level of nuclear physics. So I'll give you some small idea about that. Energy of a photon is converted into electron and a positron. Okay. So it is a process called pair production where energy of a photon will be converted into electron and positron. So positron is an antiparticle of electron. Okay. So we don't want to go in detail with that. If you want some kind of idea, you can refer Google. The next possibility is mass of free proton and neutron is greater than the mass of the proton and neutron inside the nucleus. See here. This is another example which will tell you that the energy is getting converted into mass. See here, there is a nucleus, protons and neutrons are present inside that. I'll supply some kind of energy. Now what happens? You can get neutron and proton separately. Now you see that if you take the sum of masses of these two, it will be greater than the mass of the protons which when they were present inside the nucleus. See, very clear. Once I supply some energy to break this nucleus, nucleons will be separated. That is what we call it as free proton and free neutron. Okay. Then the sum of the masses of these two, free proton and free neutron, will be greater than the mass of the proton and neutron when they are inside the nucleus. Okay. So this is another example where you see that energy is getting converted into mass. Okay. Now there is something called mass defect. It is also related to the same term, whatever we have discussed there, or the same concept. So mass defect, we can say it has been found experimentally that mass of the nucleus is smaller than the mass of the constituent nucleon in the free state. That's the same thing what I have discussed. It says mass of the nucleus is lesser than the mass of the nucleons in the free state. So this difference in the mass is known to be mass defect. So we said, right, when I take the nucleus and I take two constituents separate, so there is a mass difference between constituents taken separately and inside the nucleus. So this difference in the mass is known to be mass defect. So we call it as mass defect, and it can be denoted by delta M. You know, right, what is delta? You must have studied in your first PU also. Delta means small change. Okay. So equation can be given. How we can take this equation? So this is nothing but mass of proton. This is mass of neutron. Then we add them together. We get one mass minus the actual mass of the nucleus. Then we get mass defect. Or we can say, this can be taken as a definition if it is asked for 1 mark. Mass defect is a difference between, just check this, mass defect is a difference between sum of the masses of the nucleons, okay, that is proton and neutron in the nucleus, and the actual mass of the nucleus. So when they are in the free state and when they are tightly bound to the nucleus. So difference in masses is known to be mass defect. Okay. So next one is about nuclear binding energy. So you must have heard about this binding energy. So binding means, what is the meaning of that? Holding tightly, right? So nuclear binding energy, you can define it in two manner. It is said to be the total energy required to liberate all the nucleons present in the nucleus. So it can be the energy what you require to break the or to liberate all the nucleons present inside the nucleus. Okay. Otherwise, it can also be said that it is the energy with which the nucleons are held together in the nucleus. See, it is the energy with which nucleons are held together in the nucleus. That is known to be nuclear binding energy. Okay. So we can write the nuclear binding energy in terms of mass defect. Why? Because mass defect during the formation of the nucleus is converted into binding energy of the nucleus. So let me form a nucleus by taking the nucleons. So this is neutron, this is proton. So we add them and we get a nucleus. Now you know that mass of this, okay, small m I will take, it is always greater than this one. Now what happens to the mass when the nucleons gets binded to the nucleus? So when the nucleons get binded to the nucleus, you can understand there is a mass difference, right? So where does this mass difference goes? The mass difference goes to the binding energy. So mass difference during the formation, okay, of the nucleus by a combination of nucleons in the free state, the mass defect will go to the binding energy. So with respect to the Einstein's equation, we can write an equation for the binding energy, that is E is equal to mc square. Here m we can take mass defect, that is delta m, and you have already seen the equation for delta m over here. We will just write that, then we will multiply it by c square. Okay, so this may be asked for 1 or 2 marks, so very important one you have to remember, and it is very easy to remember. You can either remember this definition or this definition. Okay, then equation should also be remembered. Okay, next one, binding energy per nucleon. It is another concept, binding energy per nucleon. So you can understand from the statement or the word itself, it is the energy per nucleon, for each nucleon, how much energy. Okay, so it is the average energy required to extract one nucleon. So nucleon means you must be knowing, right? What are nucleons? Either proton or neutron, or the constituents of nucleus. That is what we call it as nucleons. So it is the average energy required to extract one nucleon from the nucleus to infinite distance. So it is a average energy required to extract one nucleon, see, either proton or neutron, from the nucleus to an infinite distance. That is known as binding energy per nucleon. So you can write binding energy per nucleon, that is equal to, I'll write E in subscript Bn, that is equal to total binding energy divided by the mass number. So it can be written as total binding energy divided by mass number. Then I can write the equation EBn is equal to EB divided by A. Okay. Then what does this binding energy per nucleon denotes? It says that when you have greater the binding energy per nucleon, more stable will be the nucleus. When the value of this binding energy is less, then the stability of the nucleus is also less. So this chapter nuclei actually consists of you can expect a question of mark 6 mark. So it will be like either you will get a 5 mark derivation or a 5 mark problem with 1 mark question. So one 1 mark question, one 5 mark question, either a derivation or a problem. Okay, so you can study this very easily. They are all basic definitions. Try to remember them.